Hey, good morning, Journey Family Church. Thanks for joining us this morning for another drop in Devo. I'm excited to share with you this morning. I'm going to kind of do the same thing that Pastor Gary did a week or two ago. I just want to share a devotional that I've read like you were sitting here with me. You know, we're going to read it and then just kind of talk about it, see how it applies to our lives. So I'm going to be reading out of the Uncommon Life Daily Challenge by Tony Dungy. Awesome man of God. If you're looking for a great devotional, I highly recommend this one. And so today's title is God's Scorecard. The main verse is Jeremiah 1:5. It says, "I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you as my prophet to the nations." In his book, Game Plan for Life, Joe Gibbs talks about performing for an audience of one. The idea is that while we may think that we are acting at times with no eyes on us, in fact, the pair that matters most, God's, are always watching. God knew us before He formed us. He determined the path of our lives. He saw us before we were born, and He sees us now. Sound daunting? I like to think of it as unbelievably liberating. It puts a different perspective on things. Who measures success? God does, not the world. Who measures impact? God does, not the world. God's standards are rock solid, not subjectively driven by the differing opinions and standards of other people's agendas. Too often, we get messages that we've got to be more, do more, and achieve more. But God is looking at things differently. He is looking at the state of our hearts. He is looking at our desires. He is looking within us to see what we feel matters most. That's where His scorecard is applied. It's a funny thing. The size of your house, your bank account, the number of cars you own, or how big your flat screen TV is, doesn't appear on that scorecard. Instead, the way you make your spouse feel each day is marked on the card. The time you spend with your children and whether you affirm or intimidate them is another mark. Your success in following God's plan is based upon what you invest in your relationships with the people He brings into your life. I think you'll know whether He's smiling down on you or not. This Devo really hit me. I think about the way that I make my spouse feel, my wife feel every day. How are you making your spouses feel every day? How are you making your family members feel every day? And when you think about God having that kind of scorecard where He's watching and seeing how you are interacting with the people that He's placed in your life every day, it really makes you think for a minute and stop and really think about the way that you are treating the people in your life. And then on top of that, how about the time you spend with your children? How are you making your children feel? Are you building your children up? Are you raising them up as children of God, people of God, raising them up to be mighty warriors for Christ? Are we investing in relationships with them? Are we investing in the relationships that we have with everybody in our lives? It made me think about back when I was on a mission trip in South Africa in college, and every day we would go into the slums where people didn't have a lot. It was 3 pieces of tin, and that was your house, but there was a playground in the center where all the kids could play. And when we drove in on the van, we had hundreds of kids just following us, just so excited to play. And we got out, they were jumping and cheering and screaming. And so we played for hours and hours and hours. You'd have 10 kids hanging on you. It was extremely tiring, but it was so much fun. And then we got a small time where we could share about God and a relationship with God, what that meant to them and how much God loved them. And there was something that was told to me at that time. The guy that we were working with down there, he said, the 10 minutes you spend talking about God with them, they won't remember. What they remember is the relationship and the time that you spent with them and what you did with them in that time. So that's what I want to encourage you with. What are you doing with the people that have been placed in your life? Are you building them up? Are you making them feel loved? Are you investing in those relationships with those people? So that's what I want to encourage you with today. I want to read you the uncommon key real quick. It says, God's scorecard doesn't monitor the size or amount of things you have. It tracks the size of what comes from your heart. Constantly evaluate what you need to do for tallies that will please God. When you perform for Him, everyone reaps the benefits. Have a wonderful day today. We'll see you guys soon. We love you. Be blessed.